I don't care how small it is or how definitive it may seem. If you guys have ever knocked doors with me, I'm never giving up at one. It's usually 3 or 4 no's, and I'm doing it as professionally and as tactfully as I can, but I'm going for 3 to 4 no's. All right, welcome back. Another episode of Just Real Quick. I got my boys back in the house. Andres in the studio, Obadiah and Jared at the Draper office. James is in the background. He's going to pitch in a little bit. But this podcast is going to be about rapport building, something we all have to get good at, whether it's in life or in sales. We just happen to be talking about selling windows. What you got for us, Jared?
All right. Yeah. So this will be rapport building from the coordinator's perspective. And now it's really it's important to understand why we build rapport, first and foremost. And the reason why we build rapport is because it makes people feel comfortable around you. It makes people like you. It makes people want to know what you're up to and what you're doing in the neighborhood just based off of the fact that they like you. And there's been homes where I knocked on their door and I'm just giving them compliments to start, or maybe something funny like an icebreaker, but that brings their guard down, and it's really easy to transition into whatever it is that you're doing if you can bring someone's guard down. So Obi's always full of great advice and situations and examples. So maybe if you can give us just the basic stuff that you look to do to build rapport on the door, Obi.
So as soon as I'm walking up, first thing I was training the guys on too is start paying attention to what's going on, what the house looks like, what kind of cars they drive, what kind of decorations they've done, whether that's summer decorations like seasonal, right? Or just the decor of their house. If you can relate that to anything you've ever experienced, do you have a grandma, do you have a mom, do you have a dad, do you have your house, whatever that is, find a way to do that. If you can see signs of kids and you got kids, always relate it back to yourself. It just makes you more human. It makes you a lot less of a salesman at the door. So those are the things that I try to focus on. And it's really a case-by-case basis as to what it is. It may be that I walk up and I see toys in the yard and they're like, hey, yeah, I get it. Sorry, you had to step over that. I'm like, I got 6 kids, man. I totally get it. Not a big deal. Awesome. That's why I'm here. Anyways, let's talk about it. I'm Obadiah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what that makes me think of is I did a presentation one time on the word affinity. You guys heard of that before?
Yeah.
Affinity. Mm-hmm. So I just pulled it up so I could read the definition. Affinity, a spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something. And then the other one is a similarity of characteristics suggesting a relationship, especially a resemblance in structure between animals, plants, or languages. So basically what it's saying is exactly what Obadiah just referred to, just naturally something that he picks up on, works for him, is finding something that he has an affinity with this customer. And whether it's the kids, whether it's, talking about their background in construction, there's always something that you can find some affinity with a customer. And that's a part of rapport building is you find something that you can talk about, that you can both like break the ice on and start to get comfortable and build trust with each other. One of the most important things for you to be able to be a successful human being is to be able to build rapport with people. And it just happens to work really freaking well in sales.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's pretty big.
And you can call it affinity or even commonality. Finding things you have in common with those people, it humanizes you and it makes your job way more fun. Like when I'm getting along with people, building rapport, like I'm just in there having a good time with them. At the end of it, like I like to tell my sales guys when I'm training them, it's all high fives and handshakes at the end of it, because we went in there, we created a relationship, we found some common ground on something that we can bond over. And at the end of it, we meet a friend. They're inviting me back to a barbecue. And by the way, they got some new windows.
Yep. What I like doing is, so we're talking, right, building rapport, and then you always find that common, like, what do you guys both like? It could be a lot of things. It could be cars. It can even be, I find a lot of people just work construction. So, I used to do that. And I used to do this. Like, oh, no shit. And you start talking to them, and now they're talking to you like one of your buddies in construction instead of just somebody else, right? And another thing I like doing a lot is I heard this from Tony Robbins. He's like, anytime you see anybody, you should be able to give them a compliment, a genuine compliment. right? Like you don't have to be out here lying to them. Like if you can't see a person and give them one single compliment, whatever that is, you're not the best person out there. So I've been trying to do that every time. Right? I tell someone, hey, I like your shirt. Oh, I love your hair, nice shoes, whatever it is, you have a nice accent or something like that. It always works out pretty good and just make it genuine. People can usually, know the difference. If we're talking about something you don't know about, they're going to sense it. Or you're being ungenuine.
Yeah. I mean, it takes some time to get used to it. So in the beginning, you may sound like it's a little bit forced, but it's something that, once you get good at it, feels good just to smile at somebody and to give them a compliment on their bright red shoes. Or if you haven't seen somebody in a long time, tell them how great they're looking and they're looking fit. And, I love the haircut. It starts to become just a natural thing. And then when you get around customers, you've been doing it for so long consistently and you're so comfortable doing it that you can just genuinely start conversations and talk about things that you have some interest in. And it's so cool to see people just start. They love talking about themselves and their own situations, and they just go from here to here so fast. And all of a sudden you're talking about family and trips and vacations or hunting, cars. It's one of the funnest parts about sales.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think
that compliment
is you can be talking about a whole bunch of different things. At the door, you do got to make sure though, because I'm guilty of this myself. I'm there for 15 minutes talking about some nonsense. Like, look, dude, I still, I'm about my business. I still got to go.
And then you find out that they're renters?
Yeah, and then they're renters. You're like, son of a...
That's not what you want to do.
But then Obi actually, he gave me this line. He's like, look, man, like I'm going to clock late timing, so I got to go, right? Because you can still build rapport, but you got to make sure you're getting all the info out still. Like try to keep it nice and quick, right? Don't spend 20. I've seen Joel spend 30, 45 minutes at the door, right? You're just burning daylight at that time. So just build enough so you guys are having a good conversation. Don't spend, I wouldn't spend past 10 minutes talking about some nonsense without getting them back.
Yeah, we're there with some intention. I talk about this a lot because you got a finite amount of time and you've got these little pockets of time that you're the most effective. And while you're out there, you're trying to get as much done as humanly possible in this period of time, whether it's 45 minutes or you got the next 2 hours carved out, and then you're going to take a break for a little while. The next 2 hours are very crucial in how you spend this time. If you wasted a half an hour of it with one customer, that is potentially like another 30 houses that you could have hit. Because for me to set an appointment, it usually would take about 6.5 minutes. I recorded tons of them, and it was right around, sometimes it was 5 minutes, sometimes it was 8 minutes, but I averaged about 6.5 minutes for the whole script. Thing is set and I'm off the door. And I was just ultra intentional. If I had an hour and a half to go hit doors, I'm going from one door to the next as fast as humanly possible and doing everything that I can to give myself the best opportunity to set a great appointment. And in 6.5 minutes, you'd be surprised if you're intentional, how much rapport you can build and trust that you can build with just how you show up, your body language, your smile, just asking a couple of simple questions about their family, their pictures on the wall, their car in the driveway. Boom, you get the appointment set, a great big smile. Let me know if anything changes. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. And I'm glad you said that because it's like compliment followed up by a couple questions. It doesn't need to be a whole life story, but when you give them a compliment and then you follow it up with some questions, that shows that you're interested, and they're gonna think back in their interaction with you, and they're gonna think you were interesting just by the fact that you acted interested in them. So what I like to do, it's a compliment followed up by maybe 1 or 2 questions. And then as I get to know them a little bit better, the only time I'm talking about myself is whenever I'm creating common ground. So if it's like they have kids, how many kids do you have? 5? Oh, wow, we call the good at 3. I have 3 kids. They're these ages. How old are your kids? Just jam on kids for a little bit and then get right back into it. And it's amazing. Like when you humanize yourself, you disarm them. It doesn't take a whole lot. Simple smile, compliment, couple questions, find some common ground, and now you're their best friend.
I feel like just hitting on another point, keeping it professional is a big deal. I know that's like Joel's biggest issue is he takes away from professionalism and gets into friendship. Like I'm not there to be their friend. I'm there to build rapport, but as a professional. You may have a doctor that you've known for 30 years that you take all your family to, but you go there because he's a professional. That's who you're talking to. And that's a part of the rapport. You know what I mean? Part of the rapport with your doctor is that you trust him as a doctor. And he speaks professionally and he speaks just about what's necessary. You guys may bullshit about How are your family? How's your mom? I haven't seen her in a while. Great, blah, blah. Okay, so you got liver cancer. You know what I mean? Like, that's just part of it. We have to be professional on the door as well. I can't spend 14 minutes with you just shooting the shit, and I haven't even talked about the program. And so I try to present myself in a professional way as I'm building rapport and get right back to it and be like, all right, sorry, guys, I'll talk a lot. So let me get into it because I have to get this done. And I do it even in appointments.
Yeah, I love that.
And a tactic that I saw, so when we had Taylor McCarthy come consult us last year, a tactic that I saw him utilize, and it was pretty effective, was anytime he kind of run into like, series of objections, I'm not interested, this and that, he'll go right into building rapport. And then just like, okay, hey, I get it, you're not interested. I noticed that you guys had this, and then he'll start asking questions about it, building some rapport, finding common ground, and then he'll just jump right back into his pitch and attempt to get the appointment set again. And he'll do that. I've seen him do it 3, even 5 times, to where he'll come to where like just a stopping point. He'll build a little bit of rapport, find some common ground, and get right back into it.
Yeah, I like that. It's the one thing that you'll find the very best in our industry use is they are never done at one no. Never. I don't care how small it is or how definitive it may seem. If you guys have ever knocked doors with me, I'm never giving up at one. It's usually 3 or 4 no's, and I'm doing it as professionally and as tactfully as I can, but I'm going for 3 to 4 no's. And it's, I need to implement some of that rapport building because I'm kind of like a bulldog, just kind of going for the close. But I like that idea of you get an objection, you got to, what is it? Acknowledge it, Jared. You got to acknowledge it. You ask them a question, just kind of clarify on it. You can go into some additional rapport building because you haven't built the trust with them. Sometimes that's what's holding you back from being able to get to the next stage, is just they don't trust you yet. Start to build some trust and then go for one more no. And then if you still haven't got it, go for one more no. A lot of times these are just smoke screens. A lot of smoke screens that we run into out there because everybody is programmed over a lifetime of running into salespeople and having their own perspective of salespeople from different industries to have these automated responses that they don't even a lot of times think about. They're just fucking coming out. Like, I don't have time, or I need to talk to my husband, or we've got other projects going on. There's so many of them that are mostly just bullshit. And that's why we hear all of the same exact verbiage. They literally, it's crazy how similar everybody says all their objections. They're like the exact same thing. And once you've heard them that many times, you're like, okay, there's a pattern going on here. And it's called smoke screens. And until you can recognize that, you get through 3 or 4 of these objections and you handle them very professionally, you're going to get yourselves a lot more opportunities. Because if you're just out there waiting for the laydowns, you don't have to build rapport for laydowns. You don't have to do shit. You just came up and said Windows, and they're like, you know what? Matter of fact, me and my wife were just talking about Windows. Why don't you have your guy come by? And then you forgot all the other stuff you're supposed to say. And you still get a sell. I know I've gotten a lot of those. That was when I first started. Those were the only deals that I got because I didn't know how to do it any different. And I know that we've had other people come through here that's how they got all their original sales. And then when it gets tough, they don't know what the hell to do because they haven't developed the skills and been intentional with developing some professional approaches and having some tools in the tool belt to be able to get through 2, 3, and 4 no's. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's big, Jeff. I think it's like a part of the rapport building is trying to solve problems. That's what I try to tell the coordinators that I come in contact with. I'm not there to sell Windows, guys. I'm there to solve problems. Windows are just a way that I solve problems for you. So I need to ask questions. If you give me an objection, it's usually a smoke screen. I'm going to solve that for you. What if I can solve it this way? What's your next problem? All right, what if I can solve that? All right, what's your next problem? All right, now we're down to the basics. Now we know what's really going on. You just spent all your money. Your credit's tapped out. You can't do anything. We found a real objection that we can't do anything about right now. Let's work on building our rapport and make sure that we're good to come back later on. Look, I want to help you guys. I understand it's a tough spot to be in. Look, we'll be back around in about a year. Let's see what we can get you set up for then. We do have some credit repair stuff we can work with you on if you're interested. So that's how I get through a lot of those, because you do build rapport just by trying to help people get through what they need. They know they need Windows. Even the hard ass is like, oh, I only like aluminum windows. He's full of shit. He knows he needs Windows. He just doesn't want to tell you what his real problem is. And so you get through it by building rapport just by asking questions like you were saying. solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. And then something I was thinking about
and
too
one
is
thing,
like when you're building rapport, like we're talking about the customer standpoint, but I think me as a knocker, I always tell my guys, like, have fun, guys. If I'm building rapport, I'm having conversations with everybody I'm knocking the door on, it's going to be a much easier day than, you know, to go out there and just roll straight pitch and you get a whole bunch of no's. You're having fun. You're talking to people. They're telling you this and that. They're showing you. I can't tell you how many people are like, hey, come to my garage. See this cool thing I got going on. Cool. Then I see them. I'm like, well, anyways, you were doing Windows? Exactly. That's what I'm doing. Let's get you set up. You know, I know you need them. I know you got the money. You got a fucking, you know, $100,000 car in your garage. Like, I know you can afford this. But it makes it like, so you're just having a better day. You have more energy, right? You can feed up people's energy. And it just, for me, I'm just always having a good time if I'm knocking. If you go straight script and you're not talking to anybody, it's going to feel shitty. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, this sucks. I'm cold. They're saying no, nothing's working. They're not setting appointments. But if you're having a good time, I can guarantee you every time you go out, you're going to get an appointment just because of that attitude and energy change you're having.
Yep. You bring a whole new energy to the table when you're having a good time out there.
And something I found a lot of success that's helped me to build rapport is just having a sense of humor. You know, find stuff that's funny that you can make a joke of or whatever, even if you're joking about yourself. People appreciate a little bit of humor, and it goes a long way.
Absolutely.
You just gotta be funny. Some of us aren't funny.
Hey, I try, all right. Give me a break.
But yeah.
All right. What else can we add to this?
There's some basic tactics. You know, that's basically all. I think all I have anyway. Okay. Showing some interest.
To add a little bit of presence when you're in anybody's neighborhood. Something I like doing. I should pick this up from Carter. You're walking around, like I said, you're having a good time, big smile. You gotta be saying hi to people. You know what I mean? You see a whole bunch of random cars, and you're like over here on your phone, looking down, looking all shady. Like, you gotta have a nice presence in that neighborhood. People gotta know I'm here, right? I'm saying hi. Then guess what? You get to the door. Oh, you were the guy that just waved at me. Yeah, that's me. Like, I'm on this JKR Windows. You get, you know, pitch, report, this is what we're doing, having a good time. They already said hi to you. And they're not calling the cops on you because there's a weird guy, you know what I mean, walking around. So I think just having that
with his head down,
professional, you know, you're wearing a trench coat, it's black, it's like, it's all weird. And, you know what I mean, if you're this color, it doesn't help out too much, you know what I mean? So just make sure you're out there, like I said, having fun, big smile, saying hi to people. You got to have that presence, like you're there. Like, this is my neighborhood. Like, I'm here. I'm a professional. I'm trying to help as many as you guys, neighbors here, as I possibly can. So we got to make sure when we're out there, we're not out there all scared or, you know, pointing. Like, you know, I had Joel. He did one of those to, like, in front of a house. It can be a little single mom with 10 kids. And she's like, what the hell is this guy, you know, taking a picture of my house for? Right? So you got to make sure you have a nice presence to you anytime you're going out in the neighborhood. So I think if we have a little bit of time, that's time to, like, touch up a little bit. Do you guys have any other good tips?
Well, I think that's great. It's in the neighborhood, but also at the door. You know, if someone tries to build rapport with me and they're not looking me in the eyes, they're not smiling, they're not going to get too far. So, you know, just that presence that you have at the door as well. You're engaging. You're looking him in the eye. You're smiling like you're. And if you have any question as to what you look like on the door, practice in the mirror. That's what really helped for me when I was knocking on the door. I started doing my script in the mirror. I was like, oh, this is how I look? Okay, I need to start smiling more. I need to, like, kind of open eyes a little bit more. I need to start gesturing, like palm out sort of gesture. All of these things, they add up to just your approach, like you being approachable or not.
Yeah.
And you need to approach them. And if you look shady, you're not looking them in the eye, good luck trying to get rapport built.
And one of the things I love about what Andre said that sparks something is that it's not just something that you do when you're on the job. For me, when I'm, you know, I will just be anywhere and I'm just waving to people as they drive by. And my wife is always asking me, like, did you know them? It's like, no. It's like, do I need to know people to wave at them? My kids are the same way. They're like, Dad, did you know that person? It's just become a habit from knocking doors for so long and wanting to have confidence in that neighborhood. When you're in this area, you're like bringing a new energy to the neighborhood. You got to have confidence just pouring off of you. And if you're acting shady and you don't have the confidence to wave at people and to act like you're supposed to be there, you're going to give off a different energy when you're at somebody's door. So everywhere that I go, I'm holding doors for people. I'm smiling, I'm waving. And it weirds some people out. They're like double taking, like, that's some bitch just wave at me. But it's a good habit to just have in your life. So when you show up, there's nothing that you have to think about. Like, we are genuine, good human beings that work for JKR Windows. That's why we've all been attracted to each other. And we're all examples of what it looks like to lead a great life also, and be a good human being and be a loving, contributing member of society. So you take all these habits into the rest of your life, and it'll pay dividends in so many other areas besides just showing up to a neighborhood and doing your job. Just embody all of these things that we talk about in everyday life. Good things will happen.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Rapport building 101. Yeah. Thank you guys for jumping on. We made great time on that one. Come back for more. Every week, we're going to be having more of these trainings for rapport building, overcoming objections, sitting through appointments, everything related to coordinators, directors, just generic sales and mindset. We absolutely love being able to take all the information that we've learned, that we had to learn the hard way a lot of times, and be able to reapply it and help people get there faster than we did. So keep coming back. Thank you guys for checking in. Until next time, we out.
Hi, boys.
We out.
See ya.